So I made a comment a couple vlogs back about how losing weight actually isn't that much to do with willpower. I think that was a little misunderstood. I mean, don't get me wrong. Losing weight is probably one of the hardest things that somebody can do. There's temptations everywhere. And it's incredibly, insanely difficult to turn down those temptations. Though the fact is that our population, specifically here in America, but also all over the world, our population is getting more and more sick. And we wonder why our healthcare costs are rising like they are. The CDC, Center of Disease Control, started tracking the leading causes of death in 1900. And in 1900, the three leading causes of death were pneumonia from influenza, tuberculosis, and kind of funnily, diarrhea. Nowadays, the top 5 causes of death here in America are directly linked to obesity, including cardiovascular illnesses, stroke, and diabetes. And the fact is, because so many people are overweight now, because so many people are sick, because they're overweight, it's becoming a norm. Scientists are predicting that in 2030, up to 50% of Americans are going to be obese. So it really doesn't take a rocket scientist to learn these statistics, to know that being overweight and obese is just as unhealthy than smoking tobacco. Obesity-related deaths do outnumber tobacco-related deaths. And we know these things, and it's extremely tempting to say, okay, this boils down to individual responsibility. The individual needs to take charge and make the necessary changes, which is true. But there's so many factors that make it difficult to almost impossible. There's a reason why if you were to show an obese person an image of fast food in an MRI machine, the same parts of their brain light up just as brightly as when in an MRI machine you show a cocaine addict amount of cocaine. There are reasons. Firstly, overeating is in our biology. Americans have been around for a couple hundred of thousands of years, and our DNA has barely changed. And it's not in our DNA to turn down calories. It is still in our DNA. When we see amount of food, we want to eat it, because in our DNA it says we don't know when we're going to get our next meal. So that's a little bit well beyond willpower. It is in our biology to want to eat more. We have to fight ourselves and what our brain, our minds, our DNA is telling us to do. It's extremely difficult. And the wanting to eat as much as possible is automatic. I mean, our environment is basically toxic. It is killing us. We are a society now that 75% of us drive to work. We are so much more car dependent than we were 30, 40 years ago. It's even more toxic if you are poor, if you live in a poor area. There's no safe streets to walk, no safe place for kids to play. Most urban areas don't even have a park. And if you're a poor kid and you have $1 to spend on food, the kid is going to want to buy whatever has the most calories as possible. This is in our genetics. I mean, you can go to a bodega in New York and spend 25 cents on a little bag of chips. You're not going to be able to buy an apple for 25 cents. You're not going to be able to buy a banana. So if I'm a kid and I have $1, I would rather buy 4 bags of those little chips than 1 banana. We have to deal with a food industry that in 2010 spent $12 billion on advertising. Advertising never-ending pasta bowls, free desserts with your entree, and none of it is nutritious. None of it. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a seductive ad of a pretty woman biting into an apple? No, you see ads of people laughing, having fun with a group while they're dipping their bread into something super cheesy and then indulging in dessert. Big Food knows that we love food, that it's in our genetics to want food. They know this. They try to make it look as seductive as possible. And on top of all that, we have to battle the fact that those foods are just so much more cheaper calorie per calorie than healthy food. And why is that? It's because the government gives no craps about us. The only thing that they care about is money. What you guys don't realize is products like corn and soy, which them and their oils are used to make extremely unhealthy foods. Corn is used for high fructose corn syrup. we feed it to our farm animals now. I mean, cows should not be on a corn-fed diet, but we put them on it, so our meat isn't that good. And corn, soy, wheat, I mean, these things are commodities. It is traded on Wall Street. People make so much money trading corn and soy. And because we want people to keep buying these corn and soy junk products, and the government wants you to keep buying these products, keep the economy flowing with their cheap food that they're creating, that they're engineering, because they subsidize the corn and the soy farmers. I'll give you an example. Since the 1980s, the cost of soda has gone up about 20%. And a part of that has to do with the heavy subsidies because of the high fructose corn syrup. Because for some reason we think that that's healthier than sugar. That has to do with education. That's extremely lackey, but I'm not getting into that right now. Yet the cost of fruits and vegetables has gone up since the 1980s 117%. So of course it's become more seductive to just buy our calories and sugar than what we actually need to function and be healthy and keep our bodies in good shape and not have a stroke. Currently right now, fresh fruits and vegetables account for about 2%. 2% of what we spend on groceries. The whole point of all this is that there is so much more than willpower that an obese person has to face. It is in our environment, it is in our genetics, our biology, our DNA. So all this said, I think that somebody that actually successfully loses a ton of weight has so much of my respect, because they are doing something that's extremely difficult that I just wish people realized how difficult it was. We're all about doing things easy in America, I think. We're all about the quickest, laziest, whatever way. And because there isn't a quick, easy, whatever way to lose weight, that people don't seem interested in it. You know, and I have gotten some comments lately about how it looks like I've lost weight. If they ask me how I did it and I tell them, they kind of like roll their eyes, get bored, like, oh, exercise and eating right. We want a pill. It's not going to happen. You are what you eat. I hate to say it, but you are what you eat. If you're eating a bunch of junk, that's going to happen. And we have to pat ourselves on the back and realize how difficult this is for us and why. I've gotten all these facts. I actually made notes for this video, which I never do. But I got all of these facts from The Weight of the Nation. I've been watching it on HBO Go. If you have HBO Go or HBO On Demand, you have got to watch The Weight of the Nation. Specifically, I got these facts from the last one, titled Challenges. So just watch it, okay?